Welcome back to another chess game analysis video. So in this video I want to show you a very nice game that I played in a club tournament last year. And it features a very nice opening, or rather an opening trap. It's a nice illustration on how to punish opening mistakes, or rather opening greediness, if your opponent is too greedy in the opening and tries to grab pawns that you should not grab. So let's go into the game. E4, c5. We have a lot of these openings where usually it's a gambit, and sometimes the opponent also grabs too many pawns. And knight f3, we have Sicilian for once, d6 and d4, c takes d4, knight takes d4. This is all standard theory, knight c6, knight c3, development a6, you can play this. Bishop c5, development e6, stabilizing the center, preparing bishop development. I think this is all standard things, castles. And now the first inaccuracy, queen b6. And another more natural development move would certainly be knight f6, but queen b6, not a lot is lost here in this position. But the problem is the queen is now aligned with this bishop, which develops very naturally to e3. And there are now knight discoveries if the queen remains here, which is why the engine says move the queen back. This seems a little bit unnatural when you go here to go back next move. For a human, I don't think you're gonna play queen c6 here, but rather my opponent after this thought, okay, I'm gonna grab this free pawn here, which is a mistake, and it's a pawn that you should not grab, because look at the development. 4 minor pieces and castled against 1 knight developed here, and the queen developed. And there are more pieces coming into the attack with tempo on the queen. So this is definitely not worth 1 pawn, and the engine already says it's +5. So in this position, white already on move 8 is completely winning. Knight a4 was played. This is the correct approach. I found this. Now the queen only has 2 squares that it can go to. Queen b4 is a little bit more resilient, but after c3, queen has to go to a5. Then you take this knight, which is the only active piece in black's position, and after b takes c6, rook b1. The development is just completely terrible. At some point you're gonna come in here with the rook, or open the position with e5, bring the other rook into the attack. This is completely crushing, I think. But it would have been the better variation than what my opponent played in the game. He played queen a3, which after knight b6, the queen is completely misplaced here. And on the 5th rank at least it can come back here, maybe to save itself, but here it's cut off on each direction. So not a good place for the queen. Rook b8, now the rook was attacked. And now, this is a lesson that I want you to take away from this video. I played queen e2. I thought there was no real way of actually winning the queen on the spot, but actually there is. Bishop b3, a very slow move, and I thought, I didn't consider this move at all in the game, but maybe you should from now on consider this move, because now what happens is the bishop vacates this square for the knight, which can now attack the queen. It seems like a very slow move, but it's very poisonous, because if you do nothing, like development, knight c4 comes with an attack on the queen, and the queen slowly but surely gets out of moves. Queen b4 can be played, but now a3, kicking the queen again, and now queen c5. Now there's an alignment of the queen with the bishop, which now is a good idea. Now you have knight takes e6, attacking the queen. And here you already have to give up the queen for 2 pieces, which is completely lost. If you try to manage in this position, you can also play queen b5, not sacrificing the queen, but now there is a very nice knight fork, which picks up the queen. So the queen can't be saved anyway. So these were the variations when you just do nothing and develop the knight. You can also try to prophylactically save the queen by playing queen b4. But then bishop a4. Now this knight is gonna be overloaded. Not in this way, this way. You see the king is still in the center, which is never a good idea, and all the minor pieces are now trying to attack. You can grab this free knight, but then knight c6 picks up the knight. The queen is attacked. If you take here, the queen is attacked. If you don't take, there's gonna be a discovery, and at least the rook is gonna be won at the end of this variation. So this is also crushing. So saving the queen doesn't work because of this move. And if you save the queen to a5 instead, there is also the same idea. Bishop d7, and now you take the bishop and you play c4. At some point you're going to open the center, take here, the last defender of the black king. This is not going to be a very nice position. So after rook b8, queen e2 is a mistake. Bishop b3 would have won the game on the spot by winning the queen, or at least a lot of material. So very nice that already on move 11 there are like game-winning tactics. I thought, okay, I'm just going to develop the queen, connect rooks, bring the rooks into the game. This is still very much better for white. It's not so winning. You still have to play a little bit more. He developed the bishop. Rook fb1. I simply bring my pieces into the game. You sacrifice a pawn and then you just bring pieces into the game, which is the correct way to play. Bishop f6. Now I play rook b3, attacking the queen. Queen moves to a5. And now I bring the rook onto the d file. We're calling to the engine. I thought it was very natural here, and it's gonna become quite handy in the future on the d file, but the engine, interestingly enough, wants to take the knight first here. And after b takes, go onto the b file and completely dominate the only open file on the board. And after development, you even have time to take the bishop. Rook takes, and now you grab a pawn. You have won back your pawn, the rook is attacked, and you have created an isolated magnet pawn on the a file, which is completely winning here in this position. Also, black king still in the center, and white is better developed. It's always the same topic here. I played rook d1. It seemed a little bit more natural to go into the center when I want to open lines against the king. He played bishop d8. Now, this is again a very nice illustration of how tactical attacking games can be. A lot of inaccuracy in the game. Better would have been now to eliminate my strong knight. And after bishop takes, you can trade off a little bit of material. And after rook f6, you have to give back one pawn. You give back, for instance, the d6 pawn. And after castles, it's still the same thing. Development is better. White is definitely better. At some point, you may have an attack against the king by shifting, kicking the knight, shifting the rooks over here, the bishop over here, and the queen into the attack. But this is still better than what happened in the game, because after bishop d8, now I can eliminate one of the bishops. And after rook takes c8, you can grab this pawn if you want to, and then play it from there. Then this pawn is weak. But I decided I wanted a little bit more tactical. I want to be a little bit more exciting, so I sacrificed a piece here. Knight takes e6, which is a good move. If you take the knight, then you can now take the pawn here, and now there are a lot more weaknesses here created. And because the knight sacrificed itself, now I have an open file for my rook. And after development, now I take with the rook. And the rooks just infiltrate the position, and this is completely winning. There are a lot of problems here. You can't really castle because the pawn is also falling, and you castle into check. At some point this is going to be won. I don't think you want to go into this. So my opponent realized this, that this is not good. So he played queen e5, which is not much better. Because now I take another bishop, which was defending this b7 square, pawn. Rook takes, and now I take the pawn. Material is now one pawn. I'm up here in this position. But it's just development. He still hasn't moved these pieces, and the king is still in the center. Very hard to play this. He took the pawn here, which you should probably not have taken, but now there are issues. I played bishop d5. You can also take this pawn here if you want to, because it's protected by the rook. Eliminating even more pawns in front of the black king, opening even more lines. This would have been work. This worked perfectly, but I thought, okay, if he takes the pawn, I have this nice fork. And he probably thought, okay, after queen a4, the knight is defended. But now it's your task to find this very nice mate in 5. I found a mate in 7, but there was a quicker option. But let's, if you can pause the video if you want to and find the checkmate. I'm going to show that to you. There is this check that you can give, which is a forced checkmate. You can also play bishop g5 check. This is the fastest checkmate, where you basically can only put stuff in between. what I found in the game, which also works, is eliminating the knight. Bishop takes c6 check. Queen takes c6. Now you have this bishop check. King f8. Bishop e7 check. It's basically a windmill. The problem is that the rook is very active here and the queen is here. And the bishop now can discover. And once the king has moved, bishop just discovers, takes on d6, removing another pawn in front of the black king. And now you can only block with pieces. Queen e4, queen takes queen, knight e7 blocking, and queen takes e7 checkmate. So, a very nice attacking game as well, I think. I'll starting with this very nice Sicilian, actually, which normally I thought was quite hard for me to play, but this queen move and then afterwards taking the queen can definitely be punished. I think interesting. You need to always realize such maneuvers like this bishop b3 maneuver. I'm definitely going to keep that in mind if I'm going to see a queen on a3, which often strands there if your opponent is greedy, takes the b pawn and then retreats here. So the knight and the bishop, very nice harmony here, trying to trap black's queen. I hope you liked this game. If you want to send me in your own games, you can definitely do so. Check out my Lead Chess community study where you can find all the games and you can analyze them for yourself if you want to. Check out my Instagram for live chess gameplays. I also sometimes stream on Twitch. Check out my other videos. I don't only do chess game analysis, but also some shorts, like some traps and other things. Send me your suggestions, and I hope I'm going to see you back in the next video. Bye.